You wake up, check the charts, scroll through news, scan your watch list, and before your coffee's even kicked in, your mind is already in the market. Feels productive, right? You're grinding. You're showing up. You're being consistent. But here's the brutal truth. Trading every single day doesn't make you disciplined. In most cases, it makes you exhausted. Silently, slowly, invisibly. Because burnout in trading isn't loud. It doesn't come from some catastrophic trade. It doesn't scream at you. It whispers through fatigue, foggy thinking, poor decisions, and a subtle but growing urge to force something that isn't there. You don't even notice it's happening until your edge is gone. Let me tell you a story. A trader I mentored years ago, let's call him Mark, thought success meant showing up to the market every day. No breaks, no days off, no exceptions. He journaled. He watched every candle. He never missed an open. But slowly, his wins got smaller. His losses got sloppier. He started clicking more, doubting more. By month 6, he was burned out, bitter, and worse than when he started. Why? 'Cause Mark made the classic mistake. He confused screen time with skill. Here's what most traders don't realize. Every trading day takes a toll, not just financially, but psychologically. Every decision chips away at your willpower. Every trade draws energy from a limited bank. It's called decision fatigue, and it's real. Ask any chess grandmaster or fighter pilot. They don't run full throttle 7 days a week. They train, they rest, and they recover. Because they need their mental edge. But traders? Most treat themselves like machines until they crash. The danger isn't just losing money. It's losing your emotional clarity, your patience, your detachment, the very things that make you profitable in the first place. So no, trading every day doesn't make you stronger. Not unless you're managing the cost. Because make no mistake, there's a cost to daily trading. It's not always visible in your P&L. But it's there in your energy, your decision quality, and your mental health. The market rewards those who can stay sharp and punishes those who stay too long. In the next chapter, we'll break down exactly how this constant pressure turns into a death spiral of overtrading, second-guessing, and psychological erosion. The silent killer of retail traders everywhere. Let's get into it. It doesn't start with a blown account. It starts with one extra trade, then another, then another. You tell yourself you're just being active. You're staying sharp. You're taking opportunities. But here's the truth, you're bleeding slowly, silently. This is the real cost of overtrading. Not the occasional big loss, but the death by 1,000 tiny cuts. It's what happens when your brain gets addicted to doing instead of waiting. Let me paint the picture. You take your planned setup in the morning. It plays out. Great. But then you keep watching. There's movement on another ticker. You feel that itch. That looks decent. I'll just take a small position. It stops you out. Now you're annoyed. You re-enter. You widen your stance. You size up. You just want one more win before you call it. And just like that, your profitable morning turned into a red afternoon. Not because the market changed, but because you did. Because you kept clicking, kept chasing, kept trading for dopamine, not data. Let me give it to you straight. Overtrading is not a sign of discipline. It's a sign of addiction. And like all addictions, it comes with withdrawals. You lose focus. You lose perspective. You lose control. And eventually, you lose confidence. This is where most retail traders crash. They think the solution is just one good trade. But the real solution? Stop trading like a slot machine. Casinos thrive because gamblers can't walk away. Every flashing light, every near miss, it keeps you hooked. And when you overtrade, you're not acting like the house. You're the guy pulling the lever, hoping this next spin is the one. Let me ask you something. If a trade doesn't fit your plan, if it wasn't part of your setup, if it wasn't something you journaled for, what are you really doing? You're not a trader. You're a screen addict with a brokerage account. And here's the scariest part. The damage isn't just financial. It's psychological. Every unplanned trade chips away at your self-trust. Every impulse decision corrodes your execution muscle. Until eventually, you don't know where your edge ends and your emotions begin. Your identity as a trader becomes blurred. You start questioning everything. Is my system broken? Am I cut out for this? No, your system isn't broken. You are just overtrading your edge into extinction. So what's the fix? is not trading less. It's trading with intent. One setup, one reason, one plan, executed cleanly, logged completely. Then you walk away like a sniper after the shot. The best traders don't take every trade. They take their trades because they know every unnecessary trade costs more than just money. It costs focus. It costs identity, costs longevity. And if you don't get that under control, you'll burn out before your edge even has time to work. Next, we'll look at two types of traders, the one who dies in this cycle, and the one who survives by mastering pacing, presence, and patience. Let's compare the paths. Think about this. A pilot and a poker player walk into a trading room. Who do you think survives longer? Not the one who takes more trades, not the one glued to the screen all day, but the one who knows when to act, and more importantly, when not to. Because elite performers, whether they're flying planes or playing high-stakes poker, succeed not by doing more, but by controlling their engagement. Let's start with the pilot. Commercial airline pilots don't wing it. They follow checklists every time without fail. Before takeoff, checklist. Before descent, checklist. Emergency, checklist. Why? Because in high-stakes environments, emotions are liabilities. When the pressure hits, the brain wants to improvise. Panics, it jumps to conclusions. It acts fast to feel safe. But pilots? They don't react. They execute. They offload thinking into systems because they know in chaos clarity is rare and precious. Now picture a poker pro. He sits for hours, folds hand after hand. He watches, he waits. He might only play 10% of the hands dealt, and that's by design. Why? Because he knows that selectivity is survival. He doesn't get paid to play every hand. He gets paid to make the right move at the right time. He passes on the emotional impulse to be in the game every second, because he knows his edge comes from patience, focus, and restraint. Now bring that back to trading. The average trader is the opposite. No checklist, no entry criteria, no selective engagement. They wake up, see candles moving, and feel like they need to do something. They need to be in the game, so they jump into trades just to feel productive and burn out fast, mentally, emotionally, and financially. They're chasing the rush, not the edge. But the pilot and the poker player, they play long games. They manage their energy. They conserve mental capital. They don't chase, they choose. And that's what professional traders do too. They don't trade because they're bored. They don't trade because it's Monday or 9:30 a.m. They wait for conditions that match their plan, and until then they sit with intention. That's the lesson. Don't manage your trades. Manage your engagement. Because every trade you take, every decision you make, costs something. And if you're always in the market, always clicking, always chasing, you're depleting your sharpness, even if you don't see it yet. The best traders in the world limit their exposure, not because they're scared, but because they respect how fast fatigue kills focus. Just like pilots respect turbulence, just like poker players respect tilt. You should respect overexposure, because overexposure leads to dullness. Dullness leads to mistakes, and mistakes get punished. So the next time you feel that itch to jump into the next candle, ask yourself, is this your edge talking or your impulse? Because pros don't listen to impulses. They follow rules. They protect clarity. And in the next section, we'll look at two traders side by side. One who lives on impulse, and one who lives on process. One burns out, the other breaks through. Let's take a look. Two traders. Same charts, same market, same tools, but completely different outcomes. Let's call them Trader A and Trader B. Trader A wakes up with adrenaline in his veins. He checks his phone before getting out of bed. He's scanning tickers, scrolling through Discord, and refreshing his broker app like a slot machine addict, yanking the lever again and again. He doesn't eat. He doesn't breathe. He reacts. As soon as the bell rings, he's in. Not because a setup triggered, but because he can't sit still. He's sizing too big, watching 5 tickers at once, jumping in before confirmation, chasing breakouts, chasing losses, chasing meaning, green candle, euphoria, red candle, panic. By 11 a.m. he's emotionally fried, but still glued to the screen, because he can't walk away. He tells himself, one more trade, then I'll stop. But it's never one more. Now, Trader B, he's built different. He wakes up slowly, moves with intention, maybe reviews a journal entry from the day before, He knows the market isn't going anywhere, but his mental energy, that's a finite resource. Before the open, he's already done 90% of the work. He knows exactly what he's looking for, which setups, which levels, which tickers. No plan, no trade. No trigger, no entry. No emotion, no reaction. He takes one trade, maybe two. Win or lose, it doesn't matter, because it was executed cleanly. And then he walks, closes the laptop, resets, recovers because he's not here for today. He's here forever. That's the difference. Trader A is playing a daily survival game. Trader B is playing a career-long sustainability game. Trader A uses trading to feel something. Trader B uses trading to build something. Trader A rides emotional highs and lows like a roller coaster. Trader B keeps his heart rate steady, his ego in check, and his focus on process. And the results? Trader A burns out. He goes through cycles. Big green weeks, big red blow-ups. He disappears for a month. Comes back with a new system. But Trader B, he compounds quietly. No big wins, no big losses. Just consistency, and consistency over time. That's the real edge. This isn't just a story. It's a mirror. Look closely. Which one are you becoming? Because here's the uncomfortable truth. You don't burn out because of one bad trade. You burn out because of thousands of micro decisions that put you in Trader A's shoes. You check the chart when you know you shouldn't. You force a trade when nothing's there. You chase because you're bored, not because there's an edge and it stacks. Tiny moments of emotional indulgence that slowly rob you of clarity, control, and confidence. The gap between Trader A and Trader B isn't talent. It's discipline, boundaries, intent. It's recognizing that trading isn't just what you do on the screen. It's who you become when no one's watching. So the question is, are you building habits that preserve your mental capital, or ones that guarantee your collapse? Because the burnout blueprint is easy to follow. Most traders do it without even realizing. But so is the blueprint for sustainability. If you're willing to think long-term, and if you still think burnout only happens to amateurs, let's look at Jesse Livermore, the man who out-traded Wall Street and still couldn't outrun himself. That's next. Imagine making a fortune so large that newspapers call you the boy plunger. Imagine becoming a Wall Street legend by shorting entire markets. Imagine being hailed as the greatest trader alive, and then losing it all. Not once, not twice, but over and over again. That was Jesse Livermore. His story isn't just a financial roller coaster. It's a psychological autopsy of what happens when trading consumes you, when you never leave the battlefield, when you confuse winning trades with inner mastery. And it's a warning you'd be a fool to ignore. Jesse Livermore started trading as a teenager in the late 1800s. He was a prodigy. While other kids were running errands, Livermore was reading tape in bucket shops, making money hand over fist. By his 20s, he was already a millionaire. By his 40s, he had made and lost multiple fortunes. The newspapers tracked his every move. He broke the market during the panic of 1907. He shorted the Great Depression in 1929, reportedly making over $100 million equivalent to billions today. He was, by all appearances, untouchable. But inside, he was unraveling. Because Livermore didn't just take trades. He lived them. He rode the highs of victory like a king, and plunged into the lows of defeat like a man falling off a cliff. This wasn't just financial. It was psychological exhaustion on a scale most traders will never know. There's a line in his own book, Reminiscences of a Stock Operator, that tells the story best. After losing my fortune, I couldn't sleep. My mind wouldn't stop. I was in the market even when I wasn't. Think about that. The greatest trader of his era, the blueprint for modern speculation, and he couldn't turn it off. He'd step away from the ticker, but his brain stayed there. He'd try to rest, but his nerves were shot. This is what happens when you never build emotional discipline. When you don't manage your own mental capital. When you treat the market like a ware, you can never leave. Even Livermore knew it. He wrote openly about the emotional cost of trading, the wear and tear of constant speculation. And yet he kept going, kept pressing. He kept trading until the markets and his own psyche finally broke him. Here's what most traders miss about Livermore's story. He didn't blow up because he lost his edge. He blew up because he lost his center, his discipline, his ability to detach. He never built recovery into his process, never built boundaries between the game and himself. And so his life became a series of extreme swings. Fortunes made, fortunes lost, all at the expense of his health, his relationships, and his peace. That's not a fluke. That's what happens when you don't step off the battlefield. Trading is mental warfare. Every day you sit at the screen, you're burning mental fuel. Every decision, every tick, every spike of adrenaline, it's all a withdrawal from your account of self-control. You may not see the cost in dollars. You'll see it in burnout, in impulsive trades, in bad decisions that don't feel like you anymore. And if Jesse Livermore, with his talent, his instincts, his unmatched skill, couldn't survive that cycle forever, what makes you think you can? Here's the truth no one likes to admit. Trading success isn't just about winning. It's about lasting, and you can't last without rest, without recovery, without emotional discipline. Livermore's life proves it. The greatest edge in the world means nothing if you can't survive your own psychology. So before you romanticize the grind, before you convince yourself you can push through every red day, every sleepless night, every chart at every hour, remember the man who was called the greatest trader alive and died broke and exhausted. Let that be your wake-up call, because in the next section, we're going to talk about the armor that could have saved him, the skill that separates those who burn out from those who endure, emotional detachment. And if you master that, you don't just trade better. You live better. You've been told to control your emotions in trading. But what does that actually mean? Does it mean becoming a robot? Trading without feelings? Forcing yourself to not care when thousands of dollars are on the line? It means something far more powerful and far more difficult. Emotional detachment. Not numbness, neutrality. Let me explain. Think of a fighter pilot flying a mission. He's 30,000 feet above ground in a steel missile going Mach 2. Split-second decisions. Life on the line. And yet he's calm, focused, measured. Why? Because panic kills. Excitement kills. Emotion kills. You know what he relies on? Training, systems, procedures. The checklist, not his feelings, keeps him alive. Now, apply that to your trading. When your heart rate spikes after a loss. When your hands shake before you click buy. When you celebrate a green trade like you just won the Super Bowl. That's not strength. That's fragility. Because emotions, when unchecked, don't just cloud judgment. They override it. Here's the truth. Every trade you place emotionally weakens the muscle you need to survive. Athletes know this. The best sprinters don't let adrenaline ruin their form at the starting block. The best boxers don't throw wild punches when they get hit. They stay composed, not because they don't feel fear or pressure, but because they've trained themselves to act despite it. You must do the same. Trading every day isn't about controlling the market. It's about controlling yourself. And that control comes from emotional detachment. Not apathy. Not I don't care, but I care. Just not right now. You detach in the moment to stay sharp. You feel it later during review. In the journal. In reflection. Because detachment is your armor. Protects you from the chaos. From overreaction. From revenge trades. From the urge to make it back. Without it, you fry your nervous system. You start flinching at price movement. You hesitate, then overcommit. You lose faith in your system and in yourself. But when you're neutral, you trade with clarity. You execute without noise. You let edge play out without interference. That's where longevity comes from. Not just setups, but from a mindset built to withstand the emotional toll of this game. So here's your daily mantra. Feelings don't trade, rules do. You can't trade your best if you're constantly reacting. You have to become the calm in the chaos. And that starts by putting emotional detachment on, like armor, every single day. Now that you understand that, let's talk about the systems that make that detachment sustainable. Because discipline isn't just mental, it's structural. Let's build yours next. You want to know why casinos always win? It's not luck. It's not instincts. It's systems. Every table, every game, every bet rigged by math. The house doesn't chase wins, just follows structure. The odds are in its favor. Knows that over time, if it sticks to the system, the gamblers will lose, and the house will always collect. Now ask yourself in your trading, are you the house, or are you the gambler? Because here's the cold truth. Most retail traders are just well-dressed gamblers with a TradingView subscription. They chase, they guess, they improvise. They let one loss rattle them, and one win deludes them. Professionals don't trade like that. They win because they've removed emotion from the equation. They've systemized the game. Let's break it down. Start with your pre-market checklist. Pilots don't fly blind. Neither should you. Before you even look at a chart, you should know. What's your daily risk cap? What setups are you hunting? What would invalidate your trade idea? How many trades maximum are you willing to take today? This is your mental armor. Without it, you're showing up to war with no helmet, just vibes and hope. Next, your rules of engagement. What constitutes a valid trade for you? Is it structure, volume, confluence? If your criteria are loose, your emotions will sneak in through the gaps. When you define your edge clearly, with rules, filters, and triggers, you stop second-guessing. You stop feeling it. You start executing. And that's the difference between an amateur and a pro. Then comes the part no one talks about, limits. Every professional trader has them. Daily stop limits, max drawdown, time of day restrictions. Why? Because systems don't just tell you when to trade. They tell you when to stop. If you're down 2R for the day, you're done. If you're revenge trading, pull the plug. If your heart's racing and your mouse hand is twitching, walk away. Discipline without structure is just wishful thinking. And finally, post-trade journaling. This isn't optional. After the session, log your trades. But more importantly, log your behavior. Did you follow your plan? Did you size correctly? Were you emotional? Did you hesitate? This reflection is where the edge is sharpened. Because systems aren't static, they evolve. But you can't improve what you don't track. Professionals use data. They don't remember how a trade felt. They know how it performed. You don't need 100 indicators. You don't need to trade 12 hours a day. You need clarity, repeatability, and limits. Because systems save your sanity. They create space between you and the chaos. They turn volatility into opportunity, not trauma. They protect you from your worst impulses, the ones that cost you accounts. The market is chaos. Your system is in order. One of them must be stronger. So the question is, are you running a business? Or are you winging it? In the next chapter, we'll show you how to build routines and rhythm that support this system. Not just during the trade, but around it. Before, during, and after the action. Because consistency isn't just what you do at the screen. It's everything you do before you even sit down. Let's build that next trading every day doesn't have to kill you. But only if you stop trading like a maniac and start operating like a machine. This isn't about going soft. This isn't about doing less. It's about doing what works and removing what doesn't. Because the truth is, most burnout doesn't come from too much trading. It comes from too much undisciplined trading. From sitting at the screen for 8 hours watching noise. From clicking around out of boredom. From emotional whiplash, not physical fatigue. So no, you don't need to trade less to survive. You need to trade smarter. And that starts with building routines that protect your mind like a fortress. Let's break it down. You'll need 1. The weekly reset ritual. Professional athletes review game tape. Pilots debrief after every mission. You need the same level of structure. Pick 1 day a week. Sunday works well. You step back, zoom out, review your week. Ask yourself, what did I do well? Where did emotions creep in? Did I follow my plan? What drained me unnecessarily? Then plan your week with intention. Don't just look for setups. Look at your schedule, your energy, your obligations. Structure your trading time around focus, not around availability. 2. The screen time ceiling. Staring at the charts all day doesn't make you better. In fact, after a few hours it makes you worse. Decision fatigue kicks in. You become reactive, impatient, sloppy. Set a daily time limit, even if you're a full-time trader. Example, trade the first 90 minutes. Take a break. Reassess midday. Come back only if there's a clean opportunity. If the market's dead, walk away. You don't need to be present to be prepared. 3. Energy management. Edge preservation. You track risk per trade. But do you track energy per day? Because every decision costs something, even if it's not in dollars. Poor sleep? Elevated cortisol. No breaks, mental fog. Back-to-back trades? Emotional overflow. Professionals manage energy like capital. They journal mood, not just P&L. They guard their attention ruthlessly. You should too. This includes scheduled breaks. No trading on tilt. Non-negotiable recovery time. Gym, walks, meditation, whatever resets you. Burnout isn't just about doing too much. It's about never stepping back long enough to reset. 4 rules for recovery. You don't need to earn rest. You need to schedule it. After big wins, step back. After drawdowns, step way back. Because trading every day doesn't mean trading all day. Protecting your energy isn't weakness. It's what keeps your edge sharp. You want to be the sniper, calm, patient, precise. Not the machine gunner, spraying bullets and hoping something hits. Here's the bottom line. If you don't build a system to protect your mind, the market will eventually break it. So build your week, set your boundaries, guard your energy, because the goal isn't just survival, it's sustained performance. To do that, you have to rewire your urgency. Because of the market, it'll still be there tomorrow. And that's exactly what we'll talk about next. You act like if you miss this trade, the opportunity's gone forever. You act like if you don't click now, you'll never get another chance. But let me tell you something that could save your career. The market will still be there tomorrow. Your capital might not. Your mental edge might not. But the market, it's not going anywhere. And that's the trap. See, urgency is one of the market's most deceptive illusions. Every candle whispers, now, hurry, don't miss this one. Every spike floods your brain with FOMO. You think if I don't act now, I'll regret it later. But let me ask you, how many times have you rushed into a trade and instantly regretted it? How many times have you sized up out of fear of missing the move, only to wish you had just sat it out? That's not trading. That's panic dressed as productivity. Professionals don't think in moments. They think in months. They don't obsess over the trade they didn't take. They stay focused on preserving their edge, their capital, and their clarity. Because that's what compounds over time. Picture a long-distance runner pacing for a marathon. He's not sprinting the first mile. He's conserving, calculating, managing his output. Now imagine a sprinter. Max effort, short burst, full fatigue. You think he can run that pace every day for years? Of course not. But that's exactly what most traders try to do. They sprint. Every session, every candle, every move. And then they wonder why they're burned out, broke, or bitter. Here's your mental reset. You don't need to catch every move. You don't need to trade every day. You don't need to force anything. Your only job is to protect the machine, you. Because without your energy, without your discipline, your edge doesn't matter. Pacing isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Patience isn't passivity, it's power. And perspective, that's the thing that separates a long career from a short-lived fantasy. So the next time you feel rushed, remind yourself, the market will still be here tomorrow, but only if you're still here to trade it. In the final chapter, we'll bring this all together. The mindset shift from a grinder chasing trades to a calm, calculated professional choosing when to strike. Let's finish strong. You've spent months, maybe years, grinding, staring at charts, chasing signals, trading from open to close like your life depended on it. You've worn the badge of hard work like armor, proud to be the one always in the trenches, always watching, always doing, always clicking. But let's get something straight. Grinding isn't mastery. It's what you do when you don't yet understand timing. It's what you rely on when you're still unsure of your edge. And that ends today. Because of the trader you're becoming. He doesn't grind, he strikes. He's an assassin. Think about it. An assassin doesn't chase every target. He studies, he waits, he moves in silence. And when it's time, he acts with precision and finality. One clean shot, then gone. No noise, no need to prove anything, just results. That's what real trading looks like. You don't chase ticks, you choose moments. You don't trade to be busy. You trade to be lethal, because the market doesn't pay grinders. It pays the ones who can sit in stillness, while everyone else is fidgeting, forcing, and frying themselves alive. Let me ask you this. Can you walk away from the screen when nothing's there? Can you watch your plan unfold without the urge to jump in early? Can you not trade and still feel like a professional? Because that's the shift. That's what separates the amateurs from the assassins. It's not just technical skill, it's restraint. The grinders overexpose. They drown in noise. They burn out, then start over, convinced they just need a better system. But the assassin, he builds an identity around selective pressure. He understands that the win is in the wait, in letting others act emotionally while he acts with clarity. He's not seduced by action. He's anchored in discipline. Every move is part of a larger campaign. Every trade is just a brick in the wall, not a lottery ticket. Not a validation hit. And here's the truth. Once you make this identity shift, the market starts to feel different. You stop feeling like prey. You stop reacting. You stop needing a win just to feel whole. You're calm, detached, dangerous, but only when you choose to be. You become the one in control, and that's where this journey leads. Not to some fantasy P&L, not to some magic strategy, but to this, the transformation of who you are. From the desperate grinder hoping for a good day, to the detached assassin who plays the long game with patience, discipline, and total control. So ask yourself, which trader are you walking into the market as tomorrow, because only one of them survives?